Hello, fellow 90s kids! William Tramp, also known as This Effin GM here, ready to talk to you about Teenage Oddyssey, a new rules-light tabletop role-playing game from the fine folks at Cannon Otter Studio. Do you wish to relive the surge-fueled days of stuffing your face with Pizza Hut, playing Super Nintendo, and hanging out at the Blockbuster Video? Me too, though that would probably be way cooler with more aliens, zombies, and evil clowns. I also think my marriage would be cooler this way, but my wife disagrees. But if you agree that at least the 90s would have been better this way, then you might want to take a look at Teenage Oddyssey. Now, before I dive into my experience with this game, I should give a disclaimer. Recently, I had the chance to play Teenage Oddyssey with Chuck Kranz, the creator, and Adam Rose, the development editor, and I had a great time. But I should be upfront. While I am not being paid to make this particular video, I have been friends with Adam for the past few years, and Chuck wrote the very first adventure I ever ran at a convention, so I'm a little biased. But what's the point of having a channel devoted to tabletop role-playing games if I'm not going to use it every so often to uplift indie creators who I've befriended through the course of my gaming career? Career is a strong word to use here. We began our adventure, as many adventures did, in the 1990s, in a barbershop where we were banished by our moms when our moms decided that our teenage shenanigans at our sibling soccer game was a bit too much. Woof. I am having some flashbacks. Armed with a couple of bucks, my church camp teen was locked and loaded to get the sweetest bowl cut this side of the train tracks. You know what? I should probably mention the characters before I dive too far into this. There were four of us. We had Justin Bailey, the scout, played by Adam, Steve Herkel, the mathlete, played by Dan, Kent Clarkson, the baseball champ, played by Jake, and I played the role of John Iverson Jr., or John Jr., the church camp kid. Now, in the middle of our haircut, a commotion drew our barber's attention to the window, and without warning, the man drops dead from a heart attack. We rush to see what the issue is, and can see that a few blocks away, a spaceship is hovering over the soccer field, abducting our little siblings. Now, being the enterprising hooligans that we are, we grabbed anything we thought could be useful in a fight with space invaders and ran out the door. Now, due to some well-placed luck rolls, I got a pair of scissors, Adam got a broom, and Dan got a gun. Side note, Teenage Oddyssey is a much better name for this game than Kids with Guns. That would have been a nightmare. Anyway, our ragtag group of ne'er-do-wells headed back to the soccer field and found a number of the spectators had been herded into cages while they were waiting to be tossed into the tractor beam that was pulling victims into the ship. While we saw no signs of our parents or our siblings, we did find an evil alien clown ready to throw down. Killer clowns from outer space, eh? Well, we made short work of this menace, sending his wacky ass back to whatever hell clowns go to. You know, I should probably watch my language. This is a game about teenagers, and as we all know, teenagers do not curse, right? After taking down the clown, we got ourselves beamed up and entered the massive ship hovering over our town. Our mission? To save our kids' siblings. Full disclosure, we leaned really hard into our rebellious teen status, and there's barely any mention of saving our poor parents. You know, I wonder if this game has a late 30s therapy mechanic. Probably not. Who needs it? Me. On the ship, we managed to take down more clowns, find our kid siblings, take down the control room, set off all the alarms, and in our escape, we got to take down the biggest, baddest clown of them all, who was wielding the mother of balloon swords. But again, we had a pair of scissors, so as you can imagine, we were able to prevail pretty quickly. We left as the ship crashed into the town, causing untold amounts of damage, but that was the end of session, so we didn't have to worry too much about that. We probably should have saved our parents, though. Whoops. Overall, I had a fun and goofy time playing a teen church camp kid and fighting evil clowns with my friends. But I do want to take a moment to talk about the gameplay of Teenage Oddyssey and how it compares to my experience with other systems. Now, as I mentioned previously, Teenage Oddyssey is a rules-light system, meaning that play is designed to be quicker to generate characters and faster to resolve actions that those characters may take. It's based on a modified version of Mark of the Odd by Chris McDowell. Now, this system utilizes a simplified D20 mechanic. Roll the D20, add your stat, beat the DC. Simple stuff, hard to argue with it. Now, like most rules-light systems, proficiency bonuses and special class abilities are virtually nowhere to be found, with this system opting instead to differentiate our characters through role-playing choices and starting equipment. As a result, character generation is insanely easy. Grab a handful of dice and start rolling stats. Luck HP, hit points, body, mind, and charm. Your class, which basically decides your starting equipment, is extrapolated from your hit points and your luck score. So for example, I had rolled 4 hit points and 1 luck, and according to the class chart, I was a church camp kid. You know, this makes a lot of sense, as having been someone who's actually spent time in a church camp, I remember the food being plentiful and that my luck had almost run out because I was stuck at church camp. This reminds me a lot of a game called Silent Titans, another delightful role-playing game in which your character class is specifically based on the stats that you rolled. If I'm not mistaken, the better your stats were in that game, the more insane your character concept would be, culminating in an intelligent orangutan if you somehow maxed them out. Now, I also mentioned that luck was integral to selecting your class, and that's true, but the luck set also serves as this system's reroll mechanic. Now, luck can replenish and even exceed the initial number that you rolled throughout a session, but if you spend it, well, it's draining away. Now, you can also use luck to explode damage dice and beg the dungeon master or game master, my apologies, to get special favors. I had made a joke about grabbing the barber's trusty shotgun when we initially saw the aliens, and the game master simply asked me for a luck roll. Despite being the unluckiest church camp kid ever, I somehow nailed that roll, and my silly joke became canon. Now, dying isn't particularly easy in the game, thankfully. After your hit points disappear, your body stat then starts to go down, representing the grievous harm inflicted upon your teenage body. When both body and hit points are out, that's when your character finally succumbs to whatever it is that teenagers succumb to. Honestly, if my house is any indicator of what teenagers succumb to, it's back talk. I'm kidding, my kids are great. Equipment ranges from the mundane to the fantastical. Sure, we were armed with scissors and leather jackets, but the game also provides rules for the more wild and fantastical, you know, like balloon swords or freeze ray guns. We didn't get a freeze ray gun, but that would have been pretty sweet. Now, all in all, the game doesn't have a ton of rules. It took us less than 10 minutes for all 4 of us to have characters ready to go. And after taking a look at the Game Master tools, NPC and monster stat blocks aren't too tricky either. In fact, there are basically 4 monster stat blocks, making it super easy for a Game Master to get up and go. You have weaklings, regular bad guys, big and scary bad guys, and boss level bad guys. The differentiation comes in the form of tags, similar to how weapons get sorted. Tags give NPCs and monsters special little tricks like the ability to grab, swallow, or stroke. I really need to rewrite that joke. We are delving into some inappropriate territory here. Look, it's fast, it's quick, it's easy, it's Teenage Odyssey. I want to talk a little bit now about Cannon Otter's next project. Their first foray into producing tabletop role-playing games may have been all about nostalgia, but their next is a bit more on the weird side. Coming soon to Kickstarter is a wild game called Skin City, a tabletop role-playing game where you get to live your fantasy of being a skeleton in a meat suit. Now, I know you think I might be being cheeky about what it means to be human, you know, a skeleton in a meat suit, but when I say a skeleton in a meat suit, I mean a skeleton in a suit of meat! The premise of this satirical game is that after an apocalyptic event destroys the world, the remaining humans have holed themselves up in a stronghold city to fend off the monsters that roam the land. You are not one of those humans. Instead, you are a skeleton, specifically a skeletal member of a bone cult, looking to infiltrate Skin City, wearing a meat suit and trying to pass yourself off as a real live human so that you can complete your mission and appease your bone god. What that mission is? Well, that depends on the session, but as you can imagine, it's going to be real weird and probably real gross. Look, if you can't immediately see the excitement of playing a steak-wrapped bone man and the possibilities that lie within, then maybe you and I have nothing in common. Skin City looks to be another deliciously odd jaunt into the world of indie games by Cannon Otter Studio, and I, for one, am looking forward to giving it a go when the Kickstarter launches on October 1st, just in time for spooky season. If you also are interested in taking a look at that Kickstarter, check out the thing below. I like playing role-playing games, I love nostalgia, and I fucking love taking down space clowns. Teenage Odyssey checks all of these boxes and more. I hope that you too are tempted to put together a small gang of wild teenagers ready to take on the odd world of the 1990s. If you would like to see how we did it, I've linked a video in the thing below showing off our adventure. And I've also put a link in there to purchase the game, which you can nab for just $10. But for now, I have to get back to my 2020s adult life, so I'm gonna put down the Mountain Dew, grab a seltzer water, and I'll catch you all later.